Hello, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving wherever you are around the world. It is good old MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock as we welcome you to this edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And guys, we hope you had a very nice and blessed holidays up to this point. Um, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We got a lot. We got AEW, we got NXT, we got Smackdown Live. It's a triple header here tonight. First time ever we're doing this, so we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to dive right on in. We started it off with the first match of the night for AEW, as it was the Dark Order's John Silver going one-on-one with the Hangman Adam Page. When it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 9 minutes and 18 seconds was the Hangman Adam Page with the buckshot lariat. Good match, solid fight. I could give this about 2.5 to 3 to start the event. I think it could have been a lot more better, but it was, I guess you could call it a little bit of a sprint. It didn't really feel like it overstayed its welcome. I was kind of hoping for a little more, though. I don't know why. I kind of felt like they never really got into a groove. It was okay. It was solid, but it wasn't anything that would have write home about. Let's say that. Anthony Flail, come on in, my friend. Give us your thoughts as the Hangman bounces back after his devastating loss to Kenny Omega not too long ago. A nice win over John Silver of the Dark Order.
Absolutely. 3 to 3.25 stars. Every time John Silver wrestles on an episode of Dynamite, he leaps off the screen, stealing the attention of the audience and enhancing his reputation. He has been a breakout star of being the elite YouTube show. And with every passing performance on TNT, he threatens to be the next breakout star in AEW. Page was his typically great self, turning in another steady and consistent performance you hope to see out of a guy pegged by many as the future of the company. He could easily win the world title now and fit right in at the top of the card, and that is a testament to both his own growth and the depth of the AEW roster. The Dark Order trying to recruit Page after the match was an interesting development and should keep the anxious millennial cowboy busy for the foreseeable future, especially if it results in a feud with the faction. So for me, 3 to 3.25 stars. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in, fresh off another one of our legendary SmackDown chats. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll give it about maybe 3 stars for the effort here. I mean, Adam Hangman Page always turns in a good match, and he made Silver look good even in defeat here, even though it was somewhat of it was an all right match, but it was good enough for it to be a 3-star rating as far as I'm concerned. So there's really nothing more to say. Let's move on. Let's move right along, Fletch.
Unfortunately for AEW, this is very rare, but I got a cutout here. Powerhouse Hobbs going up against Lee Johnson. Powerhouse Hobbs wins the match in 2 minutes and 1 second. I'm not even gonna alliterate or do anything about that, but there was a little bit of a back and forth going on with Taz, and actually Taz was talking a whole bunch of stuff. Well, it drew the ire of Cody Rhodes, and Cody came out, not the wrestler, but the executive vice president of AEW, and they got into it. Cody and Taz got into it. Well, one thing led to another, and it led to Taz putting the Taz mission on Cody Rhodes. Oh boy. Anthony Florio, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. But there's one no-no you don't do in any professional wrestling. You don't put your hands on authority, and Taz just did that.
He did that and then some, MF. And there are certainly arguments to be made about fake shoots in wrestling. An overabundance of friends and family running rampant in AEW, and the spotlight put on Taz rather than the powerhouse Hobbs in this segment. But it is impossible to deny the heat and intensity between Cody Rhodes and the former ECW champion here. It was very compelling television that introduced Hook to the fray. What role he plays moving forward and whether he will have an impact on next week's tag team match pitting Rhodes and Allen against Hobbs and Ricky Starks remains to be seen. But very interesting stuff here, no doubt about it. Very compelling. The match, not so much, but Michael Bullock, Cody and Taz, whoa. Wow. Taz still has it after all these years, huh?
Yeah, so that happened. And Fletch pretty much said it best. I mean, it's one thing to put your hands on Cody Rhodes, the wrestler, but you put your hands on Cody Rhodes, the founder of AEW. You're literally asking for trouble. I mean, Taz showing that his heel side. I mean, basically feeling like he and his boys are getting disrespected here, and it drew the ire of Cody Rhodes, and he called him out on it. And yeah, Taz did something you're not supposed to do, and that's put your hands on an official. I mean, like I said, it's one thing to put your hands on Cody Rhodes, the wrestler, but you put your hands on the founder, Cody Rhodes. Boy, you. All I can say is, in the immortal words of Ricky Ricardo, Taz, you got some explaining to do. Fletch, it's yours.
All right. With that said, because it was a promo segment, I'm not going to count that towards Florio. So, Florio, you get to lead off on the next match, as it was Hybrid 2 going up against the Top Flight. Hybrid 2 wins the match in 11 minutes and 42 seconds. So, TH2 gets the big victory. Jack Evans and Atletico taking down Darius Martin and Dante Martin. Florio, it's yours.
I can only give this 2.5 stars. I mean, the effort was there, and AEW certainly spotlighted Top Flight, but this one went a bit longer than it had to. As a result, the action broke down late, and there were more than a few disjointed spots down the stretch. The Young Bucks chasing off Evans and Angelico after the bout would seem to suggest Matt and Nick will go to war with TH2 sometime in the very near future. As a one-off television match to buy time between now and the pay-per-view, it is hardly a bad idea. Nor is using the current AEW Tag Team Champions as mentors to the Martins, who have the raw ability to be the next great tag team in an already stacked tag division, which we all agree is the best in professional wrestling today, bar none. So that's really all I can say on this. I can only give this 2.5 to 2.75 of a star for the effort. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I can only give it 2.5 stars as well. I mean, I felt like the match went a little too long as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think Florio pretty much touched on everything on it, so I'm just going to give it to you, Fletch.
2.5 stars. I totally agree with you guys. Could it have been better? Absolutely. But it is what it is. It kind of served its purpose, and there's really nothing more to add. So next up, Michael Bullock gets to start off on this one, as it was members of the SCU, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. They went up against Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, members of the Inner Circle. Inner Circle wins the match in 11 minutes and 1 second. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
All right. I'll give this about maybe another about 2.5 to 3. For the effort here. I mean, it was a solid match, no doubt about it. I mean, maybe it could have been just a little better, but for the time it did get, I mean, I thought it served its purpose, as you would like to say. So, yeah, I mean, Jake Hager and Chris Jericho look good as a unit, and who knows? I mean, maybe they could be in line for a future shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles. who knows? I mean, we'll definitely have to wait and see how it goes. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. Fletch, Jake, chalk one up for Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, the Inner Circle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm going to give this about 3 to 3.25 stars. I thought this was a solid match. All the parties involved were really good, and that was fine. But there was a lot. There was some interference, obviously. Inner Circle, MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. They stuck their nose where it didn't belong, but it benefited the Inner Circle. They got the win. Strength and numbers on that one. Really nothing more to say there. Anthony, it's yours.
I agree with MF. 3 to 3.25 stars. This was about putting over the Inner Circle in its latest incarnation, with MJF and Wardlow and the effect it will have on Chris Jericho's success moving forward. In that regard, it worked. MJF figured prominently in the outcome, his interference leading directly to Jericho's victory. Such a creative development plants the seeds for MJF to ultimately usurp Jericho's leadership role, staking claim to the top spot in the Inner Circle by way of his constant assistance of the Demo God. Christopher Daniels, in his first major match on Dynamite in months, reminded fans why he is one of the most respected in-ring performers of his generation. Come on, MF, you know this as well as I do. I mean, dating back to his TNA days when he was running the X Division before AJ and Joe got there. But
Yeah, absolutely, and not only that, but he has stood the test of time. He was also one of the faces, if not the face of Ring of Honor at
yep,
one time, was the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion as well. So yeah,
he
he's
was.
no slouch at all.
Nope. And he reminded fans why he's one of the most respected in-ring performers of his generation. And don't forget about Frankie Kazarian either. Frankie Kazarian again proved he may very well be one of the most underrated. And MF, I mean, that's another guy you and I know very well from also from TNA. I mean, another pioneer of the X Division, along with Christopher Daniels and those other names I mentioned. But nonetheless, though, solid match here. I'm leaning more towards MF's rating on this. This was another 3 to 3.25 stars. So not much more to say. Let's move on.
All right. With that said, we are going to indeed move on, and we got, well, a title fight. Yeah, the AEW women's title on the line as Anna Jay went up against Hikaru Shida. Shida wins the match in 8 minutes. Look, I'm gonna say it. Very good match. Very good battle. Obviously, a lot of people are gonna be very like, you know, it wasn't the perfect fight. No doubt about it. Again, you hear the typical whispers. AEW Women's Division is the weakest division on their show, but they went for it. They did a decent job. They went for it. It just didn't pan out the way that they were hoping for. But 2.5 to 2.75 of a star. This was a solid fight. I mean, but it wasn't a home run at all. There was some moments that was kind of left to be desired. Anthony, it's yours.
It had to feel a little bit of a ho-hum diva fight feel, if I'm going to be quite honest here. But then again, that's what a lot of these women's matches in AEW do. Last week, we were praising the efforts of Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa. This time around, yeah. Again, the majority of a women's match took place during the commercial break. While others will point to the Jericho match from earlier as a match that went through the timeout, it still featured a good bit of action following the commercial. This one went from 0 to 60 rapidly, rushed to a finish, and cut out everything in between. The dissension between Anna Jay and Tay Conti will ultimately lead to a feud between the two, which will be a nice secondary program in a women's division that doesn't have much in the way of those. The introduction of Abaddon to the title picture is welcome, but again, one has to wonder what the logic behind such a decision is when she has not been featured prominently in any way, shape, or form, and is now expected to be taken seriously as the next contender to Shida's title. The women's division needs considerable help. That much we know. But there were at least flashes of growth and evolution within here, which is not something that can be said every week. So, back to reality when it comes to the women's division. And last week, the two that went in there are not even AEW sanctioned. Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa. They're NWA. And that's why they put on one hell of a women's match last time out. But this time, nah, honey. Sorry. 2.5, 2 3/4. I think MF got it right. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, back to reality when it comes to the women's division. Another ho-hum effort here.
Yeah, another whole hum effort from the women's division, and this is another reason why the women's division in AEW is the weakest right now, and this is further proof why they are. So 2.25, 2.5 is going to be my rating for this. I mean, they put up a good effort here, but again, it was pretty much left to be desired. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. Let's move right along, Fletch.
And we did indeed move right along. It led to the main event of the evening, Pac and Rey Fenix versus Butcher and the Blade. And when it was all said and done, the winners of the bout in 12 minutes and 34 seconds was the Butcher and the Blade. They get an upset win. However, there was a lot of interference in this fight. We had Eddie Kingston showing up. We had Allie, the Bunny. She kind of got involved in this as well. Lance Archer. I mean, this went absolutely into chaos after the fight was over. Anthony Floyo, yeah, you can come back in. It's yours. You lead off on this. This was absolutely insanity.
Fight of the night. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. First things first, Butcher and Blade absolutely deserved a high-profile victory like this. Dating back to this past summer, they have grown and evolved as a team, becoming one of the very best in the tag division. We saw 2 weeks ago just how good they are when they tore the house down against the Natural Nightmares in the bunkhouse match. Their performance here was not surprising, but it did provide them that signature victory they had been lacking. The involvement of Lance Archer absolutely made sense given the history between him and Eddie Kingston dating back to Double or Nothing and the Casino Battle Royale. Kingston has repeatedly taken shots at Archer in promos and on commentary, so the Murder Hawk monster finally interjecting himself made sense. His eventual showdown with Eddie Kingston will be all sorts of chaotic and violent fun, not to mention a Be a Man Hoss fight. So that's really all there is to say on that. So for me, this was the fight of the night. 3.5, teetering on 3 3/4 of a star. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, we say it again. So this happened.
Yeah, 3.5 to 3 3/4. This was definitely the fight of the night, hands down. I mean, yeah, you had all sorts of chaos with Eddie Kingston, the Bunny, trying to get involved here, which eventually led to the upset by the Butcher and the Blade, and then you had Lance Archer coming out. I mean, it seems like Lance Archer had finally had enough of Eddie Kingston's big mouth about Lance Archer, so he decided to take matters into his own hand. And yeah, somewhere down the line, Eddie Kingston's gonna have to answer to the Murder Hawk monster. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, I guess we could say Eddie Kingston did a lot of talking about Lance Archer, and now, as an old saying, he may have just started something that he just might not be able to finish. So it's yours.
You reap what you sow, cabron. You reap what you sow. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Let me tell you something, amigo. You know, sometimes when your mouth starts running like a million miles an hour, but your brain doesn't function and catches up to that speed, that's a moment that normally happens in professional wrestling. That's a moment where when you start to piss off a Murder Hawk, yeah, that's bad news. You literally screwed the pooch on this one tonight, my friend. Well, on Wednesday night, and you got yourself into big time trouble. Now you got Lance Archer breathing down your neck. Yeah, good luck with that, bro. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, give me your final thoughts on AEW, please.
Yeah, I thought it was an all right show. I think it was pretty much average. I'll give it maybe 6 to 6.5. You had some good matches, but others that I think that could have been better. Uh, so yeah, I mean, was it a good? I mean, it was an average show, but I think it could have been a whole lot better with some much better matches. I mean, but yeah, I mean, the women's match was okay, but pretty much left to be desired. I mean, you had a short match here, so yeah, so okay, but I think it could have been a little bit better. So Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little higher with it. I'm gonna go 6.5 to 7. I actually thought this was a lot better than what you got it, Michael Bullock. I'm not gonna say that it was completely perfect, but it was a good show. I really got nothing more to add. So yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
About 6.5 to 7. This was a taped show, and you had a feeling it was going to be a bit of a throwaway before we get to the big dance next week. And of course, we all know what the big dance is. The most anticipated match in the history of Dynamite, when John Moxley and Kenny Omega throw it down for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which I still feel that Kenny Omega is going to win the title. I still have this feeling in my bones that he's going to do it. But let me tell you something about that contract signing segment, though. John Moxley quietly has developed into one of the best promos in wrestling, culminating in this segment. One of the very best to date in AEW. He was totally on point, resisted the witty one-liners he tends to break out from time to time, and really hammered home the overall significance of what will unfold next week. It was intense, hyped next week's world title bout, and told the audience everything it needs to know about the rivalry between champion and challenger. Everything about that was phenomenal, and this title match next week should be one of the best matches of this year. No question about that. It'll certainly be a match of the year candidate, and as well as a TV match of the year candidate for sure. So that's all I can say on that. So 6.5 to 7 out of that for me. So one down, two to go. AMF.
Yeah, and this time we're gonna go into the land of NXT. So NXT right now, here we go, guys. As we started it off, we had Candice LeRae going one-on-one with Ember Moon, and when the winner of the bout in 12 minutes and 59 seconds was Candice LeRae. All right, that's fine, but as you know, you had Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell. You saw Dakota Kai out there as well. So it looked like there was about three. It was 3-on-1. Well, no, Tony Storm came out, and it looked like, all right, so 3-on-2. Maybe we get something going between these two ladies. Tony Storm jumps Ember Moon, grabs her, and starts beating the daylights out of her, throws her into the ring. It's a 4-on-1 beatdown. Tony Storm has joined Candice LeRae's team at War Games. So now you got Tony Storm, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and Dakota Kai? Oh, man. And you only got, right now, is Ember Moon. What? Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and that's it. I don't think I'm missing another member. I don't know if there's another
Shotzi
member.
Blackheart.
Shotzi. But now there's one spot missing. Tony Storm was number 4 for Team Shotzi. She's out. She's gone the other side. She jumped. So now there's one spot. Who gets that 4th spot? Who covers? I don't know. Now, okay. This was shocking. This caught everybody by surprise. None of us saw this coming. For Tony Storm to do what she did, that was genius. That was cunning. as calculated of an attack that we could ever see on NXT. This was beautifully done. And now the question becomes, what happens? What's the ramifications? Well, we know what the ramifications is. But the question now becomes is, all right, if you're Ember Moon, if you're Rhea Ripley, if you're Shotzi Blackheart, who do you fill with that fourth and final spot? Now, I mean, okay. We know there was a bombshell in War Games one year where Kevin Owens literally jumped from WWE and went back to NXT to help out in that fight. Maybe there's a person well known in WWE circles who's a former NXT World Champion. As a matter of fact, she beat Rhea Ripley at this year's WrestleMania.
Charlotte, the Queen.
Woo!
What do you think, boys? Would that be I mean, why not?
That would be something.
I mean, her father, Ric Flair,
wrote the book on War Games matches.
wrote the book on War Games. I mean,
You put Charlotte Flair on there? Sign me up for that.
and we haven't seen her. She's been MIA for months because I know she had some surgery going. She had I think it was an implant or something happen. She needed surgery there. She's been out of action for a few months now. Why not ease her back into the fold? Even though she is contracted by Monday Night Raw. Remember, she is a Raw talent. So we can't just gloss over this. But we have seen Raw or SmackDown talents jump down to NXT for one-offs. This would be the perfect one-off. So, this was a 3.5-star fight just to jump it off. I mean, once again, the women on NXT proves why they're the best women's wrestling in the world today. Anthony Florio, it's all yours.
Well, the members of Team Shotzi are not set in stone yet. According to Wikipedia, it has Shotzi Blackheart and 3 members to be announced. Candice's team is all filled out. But anyways, this was a fun TV match. I agree with MF's rating, 3.5 stars. Fun TV match, but the pacing kept the contest from rising above second gear. Ember Moon and Candice LeRae have so much better in them down the line. For the moment, this was a fine first act in a rivalry that could come to fruition in 2021. Immediately, it seems the War Goddess has a variety of opponents. While she is still fighting Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, she has another enemy in a newly heel turned Toni Storm. You guys say you didn't see it coming. Honestly, I saw it coming. I know the mannerisms. When I saw the mannerisms, I said the award for most obvious heel turn of the year goes to Toni Storm, and bada boom, I was right. I saw that coming from a mile away. Don't say anybody saw it, didn't see it coming. I sure as hell did. But anyways, the former NXT UK Women's Champion has teased the heel persona for the past month, but it seemed like NXT was waiting for the right moment to strike. This was rushed after so many opportunities missed, but Toni Storm should be a fantastic heel, especially rising to meet Io Shirai down the road for that women's title. Oh boy. A return match from the Mae Young final in 2018, which Toni Storm did win. So we'll see. So 3.5 stars for me. Bullock, I know you and MF didn't see the heel turn coming, but you know what? I did. I saw the mannerisms. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it surprised me, but I know it didn't surprise you, Florio, because I know you. You could see something from a mile away, and well, I gotta ask you, what made you believe that Tony Storm was turning heel?
The facial expressions, the mannerisms, and the minute that Ember said, "Let's go after them," that's when I saw it coming. That's when I saw it because she was a little reluctant. Boom. That's when I saw it coming.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, with she's she's joining Candice LeRae's team for War Games, and yeah, and so far the only member of the Shotzi Blackhearts team is the captain herself. But I can tell you, Ember Moon's definitely going to be joining the fray. But the only question is, who would be the other two? I mean, Rhea Ripley is a possibility because of her performance last year in War Games. And yeah, if you put Charlotte Flair in there, boy, I'll tell you what, that could be a show stealer at NXT War Games.
I just thought of something.
All right,
Now,
let's hear it.
it doesn't necessarily have to have a women's championship match on the show, and you know
Io Shirai could join.
You could put the Diamond in the Sky Io Shirai in there.
I knew you were going there with that.
I mean, why not? I mean, put the biggest name in NXT right now, the women's champion. I mean, that would be a dangerous 4. I mean, that's a sickening core 4. If you do
imagine, I mean, some of the things Io Shirai. We've seen what Io Shirai can do inside that cage at War Games. We saw her do what she did last year. I mean,
Shayna Baszler was the women's champion at this time last year, and she was in War Games. I can't rule that out.
I think it's possible, guys. We could see Io Shirai jump in there. That would be
and after what we saw later in the night, that could be a possibility.
All right.
I mean, we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk about it once we get there. But anywho, I agree. This was a 3.5-star match, and once again, this is why the NXT Women's Division is by far the best women's division in professional wrestling. Hands down. So there's nothing more to say. Fletch, let's move on.
Next up we had was Kushida versus Timothy Thatcher. Kushida wins the match in 9 minutes and 1 second. Anthony Florio, you lead off.
Good. That's my guy, Timothy Thatcher. But unfortunately, it didn't go the way I was hoping for. But no, I mean, the Marty McFly lookalike, as I like to call him. I mean, yeah, he definitely was a Marty McFly in this one. I mean, I got to give this I got to say 3.25 to 3.5. I mean, this was a technical clinic, and this is right up my alley. I mean, we all know how much MF loves his hardcore hoss fights and all that, but whereas Bullock and I, we love technical clinics, and that's exactly what this was. Kushida and Thatcher clicked from the outset, putting on a brutal and impressive display unlike anything else in NXT. The two technicians showed why they are vital to the black and gold brand, which has been known for a particular style for so long. Making Thatcher tap out was the biggest win of the Japanese superstar's NXT career yet. This was a setup for a run at the very top. Kushida is suited to be, and I'm going to excite a lot of you guys, Kushida is suited to be the next challenger to Finn Balor when the NXT champion is ready to get back in the ring. Thatcher versus Ciampa continues to build, and that should be a match at the next TakeOver. The two are among the best of the black and gold brand. They can kick off War Games with a match that could rival the brutality inside the double cage. So, a lot of positives coming out of this. 3.25 to 3.5 stars. Another fantastic match. And just imagine MF and Bullock. Just imagine. Could you imagine if they put Kushida and Balor together?
I think it has happened before back in New Japan. I might have to go back and check. but I think there was a Kushida versus Prince Devitt for the for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, which is the equivalent of the Cruiserweight title. I need a double check. I need a double check. So hold on. But I think they have fought in before, but in New Japan. I gotta double check. So just
Well,
hold that thought. Bullock, you can go.
well, let
Oh,
me just finish off my.
yeah, finish your thought.
You're right, MF. It actually did happen. I just found it here. According to Kushida's Wikipedia, it was September the 19th of 2011. Kushida was set to challenge Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, but a week earlier, Ibushi had to pull out and vacate the belt after he dislocated his left shoulder. Kushida was then booked in a decision match against the former champion Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, to determine the new champion. And on September 19th, Prince Devitt beat Kushida to become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Junior Heavyweight Champion. So, so yes, MF, it has happened. September 19th, 2011, Kushida and Prince Devitt. You're right. It's happened. All right, Bullock, your thoughts. 3.25, 3.5. Very good match here.
Yeah, 3.25, 3.5 for me. I mean, yeah, nice win for Kushida, and it definitely continues to build some momentum for him. I mean, yeah, that would be something if he does become the next challenger to Finn Balor's NXT Championship with the way Kushida has been on a roll. So they're really continuing to build him up. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, all right. So, like you said, this was a solid fight, and yeah, you're absolutely right, guys. Kushida has now put himself in line to possibly be challenging for Balor, and more importantly, to fight for the NXT World Title, which could go down at any time or in the near future, I should say. So yeah, absolutely. This was a I'll openly admit it, solid fight, solid match. Um, and we're just gonna move right on along. So with that said, uh, our next match or our next situation was we had the a special KO show. Yeah, Kevin Owens decided to invade NXT. Uh, Introduced Leon Ruff. It was interrupted by Johnny Gargano and also was interrupted by Damian Priest. But when it was all said and done, Mr. William Regal comes out and, well, made a big announcement. At NXT TakeOver War Games, it will be Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano versus Leon Ruff for the North American title in a triple threat, player. Yes, and he did say player as well, stealing the line from Teddy Long. I got a good chuckle out of that one. Michael Bullock, it's all yours. We expected it. We got it. Triple threat for the North American title at War Games.
Yep, it is on for War Games with Leon Ruff against Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest for the NXT North American title. I mean, they're really trying to make Leon Ruff, I mean, this underdog, and he's playing this underdog role really well, where where people are continuing to doubt him and not give him a chance, but he's out there to try to prove that he's no joke. Well, well, now, Mr. Leon Ruff, you have an opportunity to prove it when you go up against Mr. Takeover himself, Johnny Gargano, and Damian Priest. So this was a nice segment here. So nothing more to say. Fletch, it is yours.
This had to happen. Especially after I kind of felt bad for Leon Ruff. Leon shocked the world, won the title, a couple of weeks ago over Johnny Gargano. But then I kind of feel like a lot of people kind of underestimating his story or underestimating him. Because I think a lot of people thought, oh, this is a flash in the pan. He's going to be a transitional champion. But I think he really believes that he could really win this. So we'll wait and see what happens. I thought this was a solid segment. Everybody played their roles really well. But the MVP of this, the story, or the MVP of this segment, Mr. William Regal. Come on. I mean, he was such an entertaining delight for me. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, kudos to Mr. Regal, but Kevin Owens, let's not forget his efforts. I mean, he put this over the top. He really did. And absolutely, I mean, if for those of you who might have missed the show and didn't know, the traditional announce team nowadays is Vic Joseph and Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett. But Wade Barrett sat out, took the week off for this week, and Kevin Owens took his place as a guest commentator. So that's why KO was on this show and set this whole thing up. But this to me was the segment of the night. This was a ton of fun, mainly because of KO. The promos did their job, even if there was not much there to talk about. What really sold it all was the brazen way that KO pointed out the tropes before they happened. You know, saying, oh, this guy's going to come out in 3, 2, 1, boom. Yeah, I got a chuckle out of that too. By making it clear that he was in on it all, the expected tropes felt less generic. This triple threat match has serious potential. In particular, it could allow Leon Ruff to have the biggest performance of his career. His story of proving himself against the best is what will carry this contest past the repetitive feeling of Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. But segment of the night for me, KO was the star in my opinion. So I think Bullock started it. So I believe we move on to you, MF. Is that right?
Yeah, it actually does go back to me. And the next thing we had was Cameron Grimes versus Jake Atlas. Cameron Grimes wins the match in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. We're not gonna go too much into this, but there was one thing that we did here that was actually really cool. Mr. William Regal back at it again, dropping this bomb on us, as it's gonna be Cameron Grimes going one-on-one with Dexter Lumis in a strap match at NXT at War Games. Oh, a strap match. Oh, somebody's going to get whipped. Oh,
Somebody's going to get whipped like a government mule.
somebody going to get whipped. Especially with a strap. Oh, I'm already imagining the welts on these boys' back and the chest and the whole 9 yards. This is not gonna be pretty. This is not gonna be for the faint at heart. And let me tell you, I love these kind of fights. That's all I'm just saying. So we'll wait and see what happens. Next up on NXT, this is it. The big one. Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly. Basically, the winner of the match gets a man advantage in the War Games fight. Winner of the bout in 15 minutes and 52 seconds. Pete Dunne wins the match. Therefore, Pat McAfee and friends will have the one-man advantage in War Games when it goes down in a couple of weeks. All right, so this was a great match. This was fight of the night for me. Easily 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Now I get it. The ending was horrible. I get it, and a lot of people are like, "Well, what else is new?" The Mask Attacker hits. It looks like it's McAfee, so that's it. Something tells me that was not Pat McAfee, though. I honestly don't think that was Pat McAfee. Because of the fact, if you look at the size, if you look at the body, if you look at what the height and everything, that did not look like McAfee. So I actually think it was somebody else. Now, who could that have been? Internet's already saying they're thinking that was Austin Theory. So I don't know. We don't know who it was. One thing for sure, McAfee and the crew, for the brand, they get the leg up on the Undisputed Era going into War Games. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. But this was definitely fight of the night and a great ending. Anthony, it's yours.
3 3/4 to 4. This was the fight of the night. Unsurprisingly, this was good enough to be a takeover match. These two future NXT championship contenders went all out in a ladder match that sold their brutality. Kyle O'Reilly especially elevated his game as he did before his injury, selling his physical style. The two men did each other no favors with 2 weeks before War Games. They will need to recover quickly for a contest that is known to be difficult to manage. This was ultimately a preview of what we can expect, and that is a great match to come. The silly finish aside, even though MF, I, with all due respect, disagree with you, I personally think it was McAfee myself. Silly finish aside, O'Reilly versus Dunn is a match that needs to happen again. This was everything it promised to be and more. And the booking 101, typical War Games match, the heel team always gets the advantage, which means the babyface team almost always wins. I'm already going on the record. I think Undisputed Era is going to win this match. So, but we'll get into that next week when we preview it. But for right now, 3 3/4 to 4. This was the fight of the night, even with the clunky finish. Michael Bullock, I mean, I know MF doesn't think it was Pat McAfee, but let's be realistic. It was Pat McAfee. Who are you kidding?
I think it is. And let's not forget, Florio, Adam Cole is no dummy. He knows that it's Pat McAfee because he knows he's trying to screw the Undisputed Era. So, yeah. So this was a good match. 3.5 to 3 3/4. The fight of the night, hands down. I mean, what Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly can bring, they definitely gave it their best in this match. So, yeah. So there's really nothing more that needs to be said. Fletch, let's get on to overall thoughts.
All right, and I guess we could start the overall thoughts. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There's there's kind of really nothing more to add here. So Anthony Florio, you lead off.
Gentlemen, I have some breaking news from college football. Oregon State has done the impossible. Oregon State has just beaten Oregon in the Civil War. It's happened. 41,
Yes.
41-38. Oregon State has beaten Oregon in the Civil War for their first win against an AP-ranked opponent since November the 15th of 2014 against LSU. Yes, Oregon, down goes Oregon.
Oh my God, Eric Carrier's about to be spitting kittens tonight.
He's about to flip his damn lid.
You know who.
Oh boy.
It has happened. Oregon State has pulled the upset. Oh my, the upset. Ain't that right, MF?
Oh yes, indeed. Wow.
41-38.
All right.
Let me get back to this.
Yeah, Florio, it's yours. Give us your thoughts on NXT.
I think it was better than AEW as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to say like overly better, but I'm going to say it was a very good show indeed. I mean, what what a show this was. We said about 6.5 to 7 for AEW. For this, I got to say 7.5, maybe teetering on 8. I mean, we had at least 3 quality matches on this show. Yeah, 3 quality matches, a quality segment. Well, a couple of quality segments if you count the women's segment as well. It was a promo-heavy show, but it worked. It set up a lot for TakeOver, gave Candice LeRae a ton of TV time. The Toni Storm heel turn I saw coming from a mile away. But it was an entertaining show that mostly flew by. So I got to say between 7.5 to 8 at the least, it definitely beat AEW. There's no question about it as far as I'm concerned. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, take a bow. NXT beats AEW as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give it about a 7.5. I mean, yeah, you had some really good matches here. I mean, with the women once again showing why they are the best women's division right now in in professional wrestling overall. Um, you had that awesome Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly match. So yeah, AEW. I mean NXT show that they were the better show for this week. I think it's going to be the other way around come next week, especially with the big match coming up for AEW Dynamite with that world title with Kenny Omega and John Moxley. And I'm going to say it right now, guys. Next week, I'm not going to be focused on NXT. I'm going to be more focused on AEW Dynamite just because of that match. So I'm sorry, NXT. You're my show, but I think you're going to have to take a back seat this week. I mean, next week, I should say. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, NXT won this week, but that could be a totally different story next week.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. We'll wait and see what happens next week, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That was absolutely incredible. 7 to 7.5 for me for NXT, and we go right into SmackDown Live. So now this is the true cerebral smack talk. We're now, Wednesday night. That was kind of like the Wednesday night mayhem portion of the event. Now we're in to the real cerebral smack talk. SmackDown Live, as always, from the Thunderdome. We started off with Jey Uso. He brought out the WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And, well, when the segment was over, oh my God, what a segment that was. What Roman Reigns did was absolutely wow. This story is so good, guys. I really got nothing bad to say about this. This was you could see how Roman just his mannerisms, his mantra. He's like, look. He's like, first off, you failed at Survivor Series when your team got wiped out because nobody respects you. Nobody fears you. When you got that, that's nothing. I didn't ask you to help me out. You thought you were in my good graces. You're not. Because of the fact that everybody thinks that, you need to show a killer instinct. You just can't say, oh, any of this. That doesn't work. So, what Roman did was absolutely masterful in manipulation and cunningness. Dude, he made me smile. And I was like, God damn, Roman. I was like, dude. Now, I've been a heel. Anthony Florio knows I can be pretty heel-like. But even I would never go the lengths Roman did. Maybe I should start thinking about that, because that was a masterclass in being a heel. Florio, segment of the night for me. This was absolutely amazing.
Amen to that, MF. This was indeed the segment of the night. As always, the Tribal Chief is carrying SmackDown forward with character moments every week. He cut a fantastic and focused promo. Jey Uso sold just how much every word cut deep. This was a strong segment. Even if it repeated points from Survivor Series, Reigns made clear that SmackDown's failure mattered, and it lit a fire under Jey Uso. And Jay's attack on Otis was needed to continue building him as a top heel. So, segment of the night, hands down. So Michael Bullock, another week, another home run from the Tribal Chief and company.
Yeah, he hit it out of the park and then some. And this is why this is why Roman Reigns, to me, is the best heel going right now in WWE. I mean, This is why people were clamoring. They wanted Roman to be a heel. Well, he's taken that ball and he's rolling with it big time. And this was another prime example of it. He continues to master it very well. I mean, why people aren't fearing Jey Uso? That he needed to light that fire in him, and he did with that attack on Otis. So yeah, so this was well done. This was the segment of the night. So nothing more to say. Fletch, it is yours.
And it was funny because the initial match was going to be Otis versus King Corbin. Well, obviously that went off the board. So our first official match of the night was Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They went up against the Street Profits, non-title match. And Roode and Ziggler just beat the Street Profits in 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a championship committee moment. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Championship committee moment indeed. There's no question about it. I'll give this about 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. It was a fun tag team match, even when the pace rushed. These teams are too talented with too much chemistry not to work well together. It was an entertaining clash of styles where the Glorious One and the Show-Off have a more grounded focus than the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. This victory by the heels sets up an interesting match for TLC. Hopefully, the SmackDown Tag Team division gets a decent spotlight. The Street Profits should be highlighted as champions every major show, but the Tag Team division has been ignored repeatedly. But I think we're going to get it at TLC. Roode and Ziggler to be the next challengers for the Street Profits and the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So not much more to say. 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. Not much more to say. Michael Bullock, I mean, MF already said what we agreed on during our SmackDown chat. Championship committee moment here tonight.
Yep, it was indeed a championship committee movement, and I think we're going to get that at TLC. So 2.5 stars for me. I mean, it was a fine match for what it was. I mean, even though, well, Florio, how did Roode and Ziggler win?
Oh yes, pulling the tights and getting the win.
Yeah, I was waiting for that, Florio. So yeah, that's how they did it. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. I give it to you, Fletch.
Yeah, absolutely. 2.5 stars. Big win for Roode and Ziggler, and now that puts them in line and in contention for a big title match. And we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. So there's really nothing more to say. So we'll just move right on along. Next up, was Sami Zayn going one-on-one versus Daniel Bryan. Sami wins the match in 13 minutes and 15 seconds via a countout. Okay, now this got crazy. Daniel Bryan was looking for the big win. It looked like he was going for the ender. Well, Sami starts running out of the ring, runs one way out, runs the other way out, going up the ramp, goes into the gorilla position. Next thing we know, the referee's laying the count. Sami comes back out, gets in the ring at 9, 10 count out victory, and we're wondering wait a minute, where's Daniel? What the he chased him and now he's not there. What the hell? Jey Uso jumped him in gorilla. He jumped him in the gorilla position and cost him the match. Ugh. Michael Bullock, lame Duckman gets away again.
And unfortunately, we didn't have our second championship committee moment because, I mean, let's admit, guys, if Daniel Bryan had won, I think we would have had another championship committee moment. Do we agree on that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is not the first time, guys, that lame Duckman has taken away a championship committee moment. And he did it again. And and it was all because of Jey Uso jumping Daniel Bryan in the back. So to me, I mean, it was a good match, but I mean, the count out victory, I think, just to me took a little bit away from the match. So I'm gonna give this 3 stars. Um, I could go 3.5, but the ending and the count out, the way Sami Zayn won it, I think just took a little bit away from it, as far as I'm concerned. So, Fletch, it's yours.
3 stars. You're absolutely right. If this would have been a clean finish or anything else, this, even though this match ended the way it did, to me, this was the fight of the night because the storyline was so good. I loved Daniel Bryan's interview with Kayla before the match. And he was so spot on with everything he was saying. He made me believe in the match. He made me believe in his desire of being the Intercontinental Champion. He was getting there. He was working at it. He was busting his butt. He had it. But it gets pulled out from under him because of a calculated mistake. And the thing is, it wasn't even his fault this time around. The first time around was at WrestleMania, and Sammy stole the fight because you had, at the time, Nakamura and Cesaro in his corner. This time around, you had Jey Uso jumping Daniel Bryan. That's the only way you can say legitly Sami Zayn won the match. Even though he paid quite a price later in the night, it looked like somebody else has stepped up. And I know, Anthony, you're very happy to see who it was who stepped up. Now, if he's the next challenger, Sammy, you're dead. That belt is gone, to say the very least. So, I mean, but this is also good because this also has to show that Daniel Bryan, you're not done with Jey Uso. Uso and Bryan, it looks like they're gonna go at it. There's a lot going on. There's some dueling things going on, and I like it. Storyline progression is really running amok on SmackDown Live, and that's in a good way. Florio, it's yours.
Overall, the match was 3.5 stars, but because of the ending, we got to bump it down to about 3.25 or so. But going into the night, Bryan versus Zayn sounded like the main event, and the two worked it like a main event. This was intense throughout, and the two men had their best clash together to date. It was a showcase of the immense talent of the top stars. This was one of the best matches on SmackDown in months. Zayn continues to thrive as an opportunist, even if he deserves to look more dominant. He has had great matches and made every finish memorable. We may not like his character, but damn it to hell, the man can work. And MF, you know that better than anybody when he was El Generico in Ring of Honor. You know this guy better than Bullock and I do combined. So we just knew him from NXT and WWE. MF has known this guy since Ring of Honor. So that's all there is to say on that. The rating is going to have to be 3, even though the match was a 3.5-star match. But the clunky finish, bumps it down to 3. I don't want to do that, but I gotta agree with this. So, it was a fun match, though. I mean,
trust me, I didn't want to bump it down either, but we always kind of poo over.
Yeah, it's frowned upon. Yes.
Yeah, it is frowned upon, and unfortunately, this is one of those that we had to frown upon it.
Yes, we had to. But as far as who the next possible challenger could be, I mean, it would be a great way to start the rumored push of this individual, wouldn't you say?
I agree. We could say it. I'm not going to cover the backstage moment.
Oh, okay.
It's Big E.
Big E.
Yep.
Big E. And I'll tell you what, MF, you're hearing this for the first time. Myself and Bullock during our SmackDown chat, we saw this segment. We saw Big E and Sammy having their back and forth. But what really did it for us, I mean, it was one of the funniest things we've seen in a long time, when Big E said, "Hey, shake my hand, bro. That was great. Well done. Yeah, yeah, yeah." But then he held on to his hand and nearly damn near broke his hand. And seeing that lame duck man wincing in pain, I mean, myself and Bullock were having a laugh riot with this. I mean, especially Bullock. I mean, because we all know Bullock absolutely despises lame duck man. And Bullock, come on now, admit it. When we saw this segment during our SmackDown chat, we were having a laugh riot out of this, especially you. Did you see him? We saw him wincing in pain, and we went as far as to say, "What a wimp!" Right?
Yeah, what a wimp he is. I mean, but then again, he already proved himself that he's a wimp because he always likes to take the coward's way out when it comes to his matches.
Cheap way out, as far as I'm concerned.
Unlike a certain phenom that he says, "Oh, he cowered his way out of retirement," which is so not true.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say.
Nothing more to say. Big E, though. I mean, if they do that at TLC, oh yeah, Big E's going to become a 2-time champion for the first time in 7 years. So,
oh yeah,
that's all there is to say, and it would be a great way. And I think we're all in agreement. If the rumor is to push him to the moon within the next year or so, this would be a great way to start it. So, that's all there is to say. And man, MF, I mean, you should have seen Sammy wincing in pain when Big E had that Titan grip on him.
I saw it.
You see him wincing? You see him wincing?
Hello, I was in the Thunderdome tonight. I saw it all.
Yeah,
I was there.
You and Mr. Cole were having a laugh riot out of it.
Oh my God!
Did you see Cole laughing on commentary? Cole was absolutely losing his mind.
Corey Graves was reading him the freaking riot act for doing that.
Yeah, what a brown.
I mean, he was literally reading him the riot act for that.
He certainly was.
So. Who gives a you know what about what Corey Graves thinks? He's a brown noser.
Well,
yeah, anyway, especially to the big three heels on Bullock's hit list: Zayn, Bayley, and Corbin.
Yep.
So that's all there is to say on that. But Big E versus Sammy down the road. Oh yeah, Big E's going to win the title, no doubt about it. His first in 7 years, long overdue.
I'm pretty sure about that. I can agree with that prediction too. I think it will happen. No doubts about it for me. I think we will have a new Intercontinental Champion. And let me tell you, if Big E is the one to take the belt home, I would be very, very, very impressed and very happy to see that happen. So no doubt about it. All right, so next up we did have was the EST of WWE. Bianca Belair goes up against Natalya. Bianca Belair wins the match in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. But the reason why I'm talking about it is because it looks like Bayley was out there in commentary harassing Michael Cole on that. So I think that was kind of his comeuppance, if you know what I mean. He was poking fun at Sami Zayn. Yeah, well, let's just say Bayley came out to try to snuff out Cole's good mood. That's like if that's like me and Florio. I'm poking fun at one of his favorites. Well, one of his favorites comes out to snuff out my happy joy. And yeah, we had that going. So nothing more to say. We'll cut. If you want to cut this match out, we can. So with that, we'll go right in.
The match really wasn't all that good. But I just want to get this quick thought out, and that is, in an immediate sense, it's a smart decision to pair the role model and the EST. Bayley has been made as one of the absolute best. She can help build Belair to title contention.
Absolutely.
No.
And on top of that, because of the fact that we also got Carmella going after Sasha Banks, and actually the boss acted like a boss, basically went mob hit style on Carmella tonight. And yeah, let's say the fabulous one wasn't so fabulous this evening. Next up we had was Murphy going one-on-one with King Corbin. Now, all right, so earlier in the night, as you know, basically Corbin was supposed to fight Otis. Well, that fight got canceled after Jey Uso beat up Otis, took him out in the back, at ringside, laid him out with a steel chair. All right, fine. We get that. So there was a backstage segment, and that was that Rey Mysterio, the Mysterio family, Dominic, Aaliyah, and Murphy were together, and basically, Corbin came out, started running his mouth about the entire Mysterio family. So next up, they announced that Murphy was gonna go one-on-one, with Corbin. Murphy wins the match in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. But okay, all right. How am I gonna say this without getting myself in trouble here? I am surprised of the actions of the Mysterios tonight on this match. It was like they were playing the heel, and I'm sorry, and I know I'm going to get a what here, but I think Corbin has every right to be pissed off. Because
excuse me?
You heard me. He got every right to be pissed off and angered because of the actions of the Mysterios. Every Mysterio was jumping on the apron, jumping on Rey 2 or 3 times, Dominic 2 or 3 times. Aaliyah ran in on the outside, basically cutting Corbin off at the pass on one thing. It was absolutely a ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And don't get me wrong, I love the Mysterios. I'm a big fan of the Mysterios. I am. But tonight, in my mind, this did not shed any good light for me towards them. This felt a little petty. This felt a little ridiculous. And for once, I'm just gonna say it straight up. Just between myself and you guys, Corbin has every right to be pissed off, and he got screwed here tonight on Smackdown Live. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. You can say, well, he deserves it. Okay, I'll give you that. Because for all the actions that he did in the past and everything else, and maybe his comments before the fight, without a doubt, probably deserved what he got, and he got his comeuppance. But I felt like this was pretty petty and downright cheap, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's an old saying, Fletch. What goes around comes around.
All right.
Corbin wants to play dirty. Well,
but here's the thing: he wasn't really playing dirty here tonight. There was at no point in this match he was doing anything illegal. He wasn't pulling anything dirty.
Get him.
Huh?
Well, the past was going to come back and get him eventually. I'm not referring to like tonight.
Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, nothing more to say. Like I said, I'm normally a big fan of the Mysterios, and this time around, this was nope. Nothing more to say. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So next up we had, it was our main event, which was Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. Owen win the match by disqualification in 12 minutes and 5 seconds because Jey Uso introduced the chair, started beating him up with the chair. It looked like, carbon copy of earlier tonight. Owens got the better of Uso and called out the tribal chief. Says, I am not scared of you. Oh boy. Guys, I think we just found our next contender for the Universal title. To me, this was a good fight. I'll give this about 3 stars. Solid way to close the show with Kevin Owens looking wicked strong. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, 3 stars. It's very rare I say this, but co-fight of the night. I mean, this along with the Zayn and Bryan match. I mean, but because of the we had another finish here, 3 to 3 1/4. I might give the slight edge to this one because the finish here set up something really good. We have gotten to the point where Jay can main event SmackDown most weeks and it never feels wrong. While this was nowhere near the work of Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, the two had a serious story to tell. Uso went all out, selling his growing aggression. The way Owens took over the action at times showed how uncomfortable Jay was with that role, but Uso ultimately took back control at every turn, hearing Roman's voice in his head. When Uso lost it, it was because that voice grew too loud and he didn't care about winning anymore. It is unclear who will challenge Reigns next. Both Daniel Bryan and KO have fallen to Uso, but they have also won, standing up to the Tribal Chief along the way. The talent of both men is obvious, and they deserve a main event title shot sooner rather than later. Right now, I think it's building more towards KO right now. And these two guys have history. Let's not forget about it. When they were both on Monday Night Raw, with the roles reversed, with Roman as the face and Owens as the heel, and Kevin Owens was the Universal Champion. I mean, the match they had at the 2017 Royal Rumble, I mean, that match where Jericho was in the shark cage, I mean, that was an incredible match, and one of the many highlights of that incredible show in San Antonio's Alamo Dome a couple years ago. But nonetheless, based on what we've been seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if they make this a chairs match. I wouldn't. I mean, we need a chairs match, don't we? And I think this would be a perfect chairs match with KO and Roman Reigns. So that's all I can say on that. I mean, I mean, it would be pretty cool. So not much more to say. So 3 to 3 1/4 stars for this co-fight of the night. So really not much more to say on this. Michael Bullock, I mean, we said it during the chat. We'll say it again here. I think we're in agreement. I think Kevin Owens will be the next challenger for the Tribal Chief, and I think it should be in a chairs match.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it should be a chairs match with Roman's next challenger for the Universal title being Kevin Owens after KO called out the Tribal Chief during this match. So yeah, 3 to 3 1/4 stars is my rating too. So yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So let's get to overall thoughts on tonight's SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown.
Anthony Florio, you lead off.
I could only give this about 6, maybe 6.5. I mean, we had the opening and closing segments there with Roman and quality matches, even though they both ended in clunky finishes. I mean, and the women's match was the Murphy Corbin, that was as well. But the Roman Reigns and Jey Uso stuff, that's what really put this over the top. And Bryan and Zayn had a great match, even with that finish. And same can be said for KO and Jey Uso. And yeah, there was some storyline progression, certainly. And looking at the SmackDown side of things for TLC, I mean, I think we're going to see Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in a chairs match, I think, for the Universal title. I think we're going to see Sami Zayn and Big E for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Street Profits against Rude and Ziggler for the tag team titles. Carmella, Sasha Banks for the women's title. And I can see those four being the headliners for TLC. The Bayley and Bianca, that could be a kickoff match, or maybe they could do it on a future SmackDown. I don't know. We'll see. But for me, I gotta say at least at the best a 6, maybe 6.5, but I think it's more of a 6 for me. So solid, but not overly spectacular. Some things could have been better, but MF Roman Reigns and Jey Uso continue to be the best thing going on your show right now. So not much more to say. 6 for me. So Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give it about a 6 as well. I mean, you did have some good matches, but you also had some others that were pretty much So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it is yours.
6 out of 10, definitely. there was a lot of good, but there was also a lot of bad. It kind of was in between in most of the night. I think they got to work their way up, and they got to do a lot more better than that. So I mean, at the end of the day, they did good. They did good. It's just, again, they just got to get better. So we got nothing more to add. Uh, yeah. So, um, yes. So nothing more to say. This was a good show. So that's it. We're done for the night. Tomorrow night we got a special edition of NFL Saturday, as we're gonna cover all the action. We had 2 Thanksgiving games, and we got a lot. We got all the games on Sunday. We have a Monday night, and now a Tuesday night game. That's right. Baltimore and Pittsburgh has been moved yet again. It was supposed to be on Thanksgiving night, moved to Sunday afternoon, now moved to Tuesday night. More COVID running amok in the NFL. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. We got really nothing more to add. We'll see, Florida. We'll talk about it. We'll wait and see. I'm probably leaning now towards KC and Bucks for that game. So just to be honest. So nothing more to say. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. For Anthony Floyo, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night.